welcome to Season 4, Episode 30 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Lucha Underground history with match number 21 on our list, which is a huge hidden gem in my opinion. It is so much fun. It is the Nunchuck match between Drago and Aerostar and the worldwide underground duo of Jack Evans and the Darewolf PJ Black from the June 8th, 2016 edition of Lucha Underground titled The Contenders. I talked about it, coincidentally enough, it was also a match involving Drago, but I talked about the Believers Backlash match between Drago and Hernandez being a match that's so goofy and so silly, but it absolutely worked in the Lucha Underground environment, and that is exactly what we get here with the Nunchucks match. This match completely exceeds any expectation I think anybody could have for it. Looking at the match on paper, it sounds super silly, but they made it work. It is a great spectacle. It is so much fun, and it is everything that is wonderful about Lucha Underground. So this isn't the first match involving these guys that has been on this countdown. We talked about the Worldwide Underground of Johnny Mundo, PJ Black, and Jack Evans. They were the Lucha Underground Trios champions coming into the end of Season 2. They dropped those titles to the trio of Phoenix, Aerostar, and Drago at Ultima Lucha Dos. So this match was part of, the long build-up to, that kind of WrestleMania, type match that they had at Ultima Lucha. So this was one of the pieces to the puzzle along the way. Lucha Underground, it's kind of hard, watching it in a vacuum now, so many years after it originally aired, because they really did a good job with social media and YouTube at the time, where, they'd post, preview videos and hype videos and little extra pieces on social media. And they did a really good job with this match. I remember there was like a video of Jack Evans like showing how to use nunchucks and stuff like that. That was just really goofy and over the top. I'm sure it's still on YouTube. You should be able to find it. Prior to this match, and it made Evans and Black so like unlikable that you really wanted to see Drago and Aerostar, two of those kind of homegrown Lucha Underground talents, destroy them in this match. And they do like a really good job, making this have a big match feel to it. Drago comes out and he's got like this insane like headdress on him that I don't ever remember him wearing again. But it was super cool. It looked gnarly. And like Aerostar, I've talked about him a little bit. He is a guy that I feel, will never maybe get the full credit that he deserves for how incredibly innovative, he was, really in his prime. This dude just does so many wild moves that blows your mind. And this match is no different. And he does things so effortlessly. And I remember with Aerostar, not everything that he would hit would always be perfect, right? So that was the thing, very much like a Sabu or, a Rick Blade, if you're an old CZW fan, right? Where, jaw-dropping, innovative stuff, it didn't always work out. But Lucha Underground, because it's pre-taped, because it has a more, cinematic feel, and it's so heavily edited, it really helped accentuate, a lot of what he did. And he hits just this dive to the floor in this match where he does like this turnaround crossbody, but he springs off all three ropes in succession, elevating himself to the top rope before diving on the floor to PJ Black. And it's so unbelievable, and it looks like he doesn't even need to try to do it. It's so effortless and it's so great. So many cool little things and like crazy spots in this match. So the gimmick is that there's nunchucks all over the Lucha Underground temple. So not, your typical kind of like, pole match, right? Like nunchucks hanging from a pole. They have nunchucks like hanging like up at the top of the bleachers and like, on top of like Dario Cueto's office and like all over the place, right? So, the wrestlers can kind of brawl throughout the arena and get these nunchucks for various places as they go. So because they're all kind of elevated, we get a really neat spot where Jack Evans is standing on PJ Black's shoulders, and they're trying to get these nunchucks, and then Aerostar jumps off the guardrails. Like, keep in mind, these are elevated, like, bleacher guardrails, but he jumps off of them and, like, knocks Jack Evans off of PJ Black's shoulders. It was really wild, like, for an early spot in this match. Evans and Black are super good. They're great heels because they're so goofy, but they're so talented too that it really works for them. And they do like a dive sequence that's so wonderful, where Jack Evans is on the ropes and kind of does the splits, and PJ Black does a suicide dive between Jack Evans's legs, and then right after he hits that, Jack Evans hits an acai moonsault off that second rope, and it was lovely. The heels end up getting the nunchucks first. They go to work like on the midsections of the faces, and they're choking them with the nunchucks and everything. And I've talked about this in the past with Lucha Underground, but they implement like sound effects. So every shot with these nunchucks like sounds amazing, right? It's so theatrical and it's so over the top, but it really, really works. We end up getting like this crazy sequence where Drago gets like launched up onto a platform by PJ Black. And while he's up there, there's nunchucks from there. So PJ Black kind of does like, I'm so smart, right? I threw my opponent off, but it allowed him to get the nunchucks. And then Drago hits a big flip off this platform. And then Aerostar, not to be outdone, he ends up on top of Dario Cueto's office. Jack Evans goes up to meet him and just hits like a springboard off one of the rails, and then another springboard off like the perpendicular rail up onto Dario's office. And like, this is really high up, like they're a good 15-20 feet in the air. So the intricacies of Jack Evans doing that and not slipping, an all-time daredevil. If you only know Jack Evans from AEW now, part of TH2 with Angelico, like he's a lot of fun, but you gotta like see old Jack Evans. Like, we're talking like late 1999, early 2000s. If you can get your hands on Mat Rats footage, I don't know how accessible that is online nowadays, but in the tape trading circle in the early 2000s, the Mat Rats tapes made the rounds. Stampede wrestling stuff. Jack Evans was just so ahead of the game. And then eventually, being brought in by Ring of Honor in late 2003 for Scramble Cage, with the double moonsault off the cage in that match. Just an all-time pioneer with some of the stuff he would do. He had a great run in Dragon Gate, and eventually he just decided he wanted to go to Mexico, and he stuck around in there. So I was really happy that Lucha Underground, gave him the spotlight that they did. In AEW, even though he's kind of, mostly on like AEW Dark and stuff like that now, he's still kicking around. He's still Jack Evans, and he's still, mad cool, and still, breaking the mold with stuff, 20 years into his career. So he does this crazy jump, onto Dario's office. And Drago, keep in mind, Drago has these nunchucks, and he just starts chucking them. And they do, I'll call it like a Lion King spot, right? Where, Jack Evans is like hanging by his fingers from Dario Cueto's office, much like, Simba's dad, Mufasa, in that movie. And Drago ends up giving him one final hit with the nunchucks, and Evans like bumps off the office on top of PJ Black, who catches him. And then Aerostar just hits this insane crossbody off of Dario's office. A few of the matches in these videos, we've talked about how, every season we'll maybe get like one or two dives off of there that are amazing. And Aerostar, just his crossbody, he gets so much height. It is unbelievable. Our finishing run is just nunchucks galore. Jack Evans takes like a flip twist bump off of a nunchuck shot because of course he does, because he's Jack Evans. Drago hits the mist, but they do it like into the camera, which was really, really, really cool because it's almost like the mist coming right at you as the viewer. And then he ends up, slapping the tail of the dragon on Jack Evans, and it's enough for 3. This match, it over delivers. It's so much fun. It is everything that I love about Lucha Underground. It almost cracked the top 20. I was kind of hoping it would because I really unconditionally love it, but ultimately there were 20 matches that I thought were better. But this match, it really doesn't get a lot of talk. It really doesn't get a lot of love. It's not, one of the most, I'd say, like, fondly looked upon gimmick matches. There's no blood or anything like that, like a lot of those big time Lucha Underground matches would see. But it's so much fun in its own right. You can, depending on where you live, you might be able to find it on Tubi, but if not, Google search these episodes. They're all out there online on websites like Dailymotion and various Asian streaming services for your viewing pleasure. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.